when you approach aligning to the organization's, business objectives and top initiatives, and pull in that, we're in the technical world, the technology piece of it, when it comes to like business case creation and execution, how do you approach it? And, if you'd want to share any, specific use cases or examples, that'd be great.
Sure. I think even though I do understand a whole lot about IT and that is my background, my methodology really is to work with the individual stakeholder and understand the problem. Oftentimes, I think we solve for the wrong problem. We might see a technology we think is cool and want to start a pilot somewhere, in a factory or a production plant, but really the technology isn't solving the problem that's still there, right? If you can't get data and you think a technology is going to help, but really it's because you don't have the right ontologies between two different systems. So, the systems aren't speaking together. It's really not going to be that helpful anyway. So the first thing I like to do is really understand the problem statement and make sure then that we don't already have a solution somewhere else in the company. I also have found through this or, prior in consulting, many companies have solutions in different business functions and the units don't talk to one another. So really, can we solve for this already? And if we can't, then let's look outward. So the methodology would be problem statement, research to understand what's happening in industry, what are best practices, what are the technologies that we can use, and then take those and vet different partners to see if their technology can support our use case. But really the first thing is knowing what we need before we can ask for it.
Yeah. That's awesome insight. So I'd like to also get some insight on the complexity and challenges of working just in a global economy. So you've got a lot of experience there on a global supply chain, with your field expertise. So, when you think of challenges and barriers, what are the biggest ones that you think we're facing today? Technology, politics, culture, process. I mean, it's not a short list. But if you want to talk to one or a few of those, and then, how do we overcome those barriers is really the key thing. And then overall, just how do you think US, I know there's a few questions in there. So how do you think US kind of stacks up, in the world, when it comes to this topic?
Yeah. So a lot packed in there. I think the first main challenge is that like you just stated, there are so many different things that we have to distill when it comes to making the decision. So we also, I think, which is another challenge, is really react to what the end consumer wants to see. So the pandemic has brought on e-commerce trends, personalization of products, just a whole different slew of buying patterns that the supply chain ultimately is reactive to, right? So if you think of something simple like a QR code, so now like you see something, you bring up on the QR code, takes you to the link site, a restaurant menu. Well, what if all of a sudden now all of our products want a QR code on it? So our production supply is, affected at some point. So I think one of the barriers is the rapidly changing environment that we're coming up against. But also, how do we distill all of that information from a regulation side? There's a push, and I think most of us have seen this or heard of it in the news, but a push for sustainability and equitable work. And those are all coming now into trade functions and trade regulations. So how do we ensure that, like H&M or Nike stories, right, from the China region, how do we ensure that our product supply is what we want it to be? How is it sustainable? And how are we, kind of reacting to these real world issues while, keeping a profit margin? And that's where I think the technology intersects with, the supply chain itself. So I don't know that there's one simple answer for what is the biggest challenge, but the barriers would be really lack of visibility within the supply chain, global and regional, I don't want to say silos, but there are different ways of working, different product lines. So how do we bring all of those together to come up with a format that works for the company?
Yeah.
And we need to containers that are mysteriously missing and tied up on canal shores, right?
And there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.